Namaskar, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students, scholars, teachers, trainers, professors, professionals, official, official listeners, others. I welcome all respected doctors and directors. I welcome all honorable ministers, managers. I welcome all available advocates, retired administrative advisors. I welcome the host of the present commission. Very nice and nice place, nice section today that we are defining, explaining, expressing our body Indian spiritual, social, cultural, constitutional identities in the form of unity diversity. Unfettered power or discretion of central government to discharge an accusative criminal. Despite the provisions of the Extradition Act 1962, particularly Section 3 and Section 12, the central government had unfettered powers or discretion to discharge an invested criminal. If it appears to the central government that by reason of the criminal nature of the cases or by reason of the application for the surrender or return of fugitive criminal not being made in good faith or in the interest of justice or for political reasons. Otherwise, it is unjust or inexpedient to surrender or return a fugitive criminal. It may, by order, at any time stay any proceedings under this Act and direct any warrant issued or endorsed under this Act to be cancelled, and the person for whose arrest a warrant has been issued or endorsed to be discharged. It is further provided that, notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in Section 3 or Section 12, the provisions of Section 29 and 31 shall apply without any modification to any foreign state or Commonwealth country. Case relating to refusal to grant of extradition of two Burmese students. In November 1990, two Burmese students were persuaded to land at Calcutta Airport. They had hijacked the international Airbus with 205 passengers and 16 members to highlight the cause of restoration of democracy in their country. Their six-point charter of demands written in blood included restoration of democracy in Burma, ending military rule, release of all political prisoners, and a direct dialogue with the Burmese government. The Indian government refused to hand them over to Burmese or Thai authorities. However, the Indian government now charged them under Anti-Hijacking Act 1982 and for criminal conspiracy. Some Indian cases on extradition. Saukar case The facts and the decision of the Southwest case has been referred earlier while explaining the essential conditions of extradition. Rambabu Saxena versus State. This case deals with the Section 7 of Indian Extradition Act 1903. Dr. Rambabu Saxena was an employee in the UP Civil Service and was deputed to the Tom State. Tom was an Indian state and it had an extradition treaty with the British government according to which most states were bound to extradite certain persons who were accused of certain specified crimes. Dr. Rambabu Saxena was living in the district of Nainital. It was contended that while serving in Tom state, he committed crimes of extortion under Section 383 and cheating under Section 420. Dr. Rambabu Saxena argued in defense that British government had an extradition treaty with the Tom state and that treaty did not provide for crimes for which his extradition was being claimed. Hence, he could not be extradited under Section 7 of the Extradition Act 1903. In this connection, he made specific reference of Section 18 of the Extradition Act 1903, which provided that no extradition could be made against the provisions of the treaty. Since the treaty did not mention the specific crime for which his extradition was sought, he contended that it will be beyond the jurisdiction of the court and whole proceedings were illegal. But the Supreme Court of India held that Section 7 of the Indian Extradition Act was rightly applied and he could be extradited. The Supreme Court held the Act does not derogate from any such treaty. When it authorizes the Indian government to grant extradition for some additional offences, thereby enlarging, not curtailing the power of the other party to claim front of criminals. Nor does the Act derogate in the true sense of the term from the position of an Indian subject under the Treaty of 1869. B.K. Mukherjee, J.S. observed. Whereas the result of amalgamation or merger, the state used its full and independent form of action over the subject matter of a treaty provisionally concluded the treaty must necessarily have said. The lordship concluded the extradition treaty between the Town State and the British government in 1869 is not capable of being given effect to in the present day in view of the merger of the Town State. The United States of Rajasthan has no treaty rights exist. Section 18 of Extradition Act has no application and Section 7 of the Act has been complied with. There is no ground upon which we can interfere. Thus, the Supreme Court dismissed the appeal. State of Madras versus C.Z. Menon. NB. For the facts and decision of the case, please see relationship between international law and municipal law. Hans Muller of Nuremberg versus Superintendent Agency J. Calcutta and others, the facts and principles laid down in this case have been discussed in detail earlier in this chapter under the heading Distinction between Expulsion under Parole Act 1946 and Extradition. Mubarak Ali Ahmad versus State of Bombay 1957. The fact and principles laid down in this case have also been discussed earlier in this. The Maharashtra extradition case 1963, this case has been discussed earlier in here. Mr. Singh case, Mr. Singh was accused of murdering Pratap Singh, the former Chief Minister of Punjab, and had fled away to Nepal and on the request of the Government of India. Government of India, after starting proceedings against him in accordance with the law of Nepal, suspended him. Dharam Teja case, Dharam Teja, who was the managing director of Jayanti Shipping Corporation, committed embezzlement and bungling of crores of rupees and had fled away from India. He fled away from one country to another to escape his arrest when he was in Ivory Coast. The government of India requested the government of Ivory Coast to extradite Dharam Teja so that proceedings against him would be started in India. The government of Ivory Coast refused to extradite Dharam Teja on the ground that there was no extradition treaty with India. Later on, when Dharam Teja was in London, the government of India came to know about his whereabouts and informed the British government and requested it to apprehend Dharam Teja and to start proceedings of extradition against him. India has no extradition treaty with the government of Britain, under which both the countries are bound to extradite the accused of each other who run away after committing crimes in other country. In either country, government of England accepted the request of India and proceedings was started against Dharam Teja in the court of law, England. The court of law in England came to the conclusion that Dharam Teja could be extradited. Consequently, Dharam Teja was extradited to India. The government of India started proceedings against him, and Dharam Teja was convicted for having committed embezzlement and bungling of crores of rupees of Jayanti Shipping Corporation while he was managing director of that corporation. Naval Officer Extradition Case, July 1975. Commander Elijah Ibrahim, Jewel of Indian Navy, was charged by the Government of India with misappropriating rupees 13 lakh of the Naval Prize Fund while he was functioning as the Judge Advocate General of the Indian Navy in the early 1960s. The matter was referred to the CBI, that is Central Bureau of Investigation 1966, Bihar, had the responsibility of administering rupees 70 lakh of the prize fund. An ex-sailor made a complaint that he had not received his share of the prize money. On inquiry, the naval headquarters discovered that the fund was never subjected to audit and that Commander Dirhad had destroyed all records. The charge sheet was filed by CBI against him in 1968, but Dirhad could not be apprehended as he fled away from the country along with his family. Since then, the Indian authorities were trying to find out his whereabouts. The CBI then got in touch with the Interpol, which had arrested him in April 1972 in New York. Proceedings for his extradition were then launched, but Commander Dirhad went in appeal. In July 1975, the New York judge passed the extradition order after accepting the Indian government pleas in this regard. Thus, Commander Dirhad had been extradited to India and will now face trial to the charge of misappropriation of rupees 13 lakhs of the Naval Prize Fund. Narayan Brothers extradition case, October 1976. In October 1976, the government of India